We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Former staffers accuse Representative Basabe of sexual harassment, sexual battery, adding to previous harassment claims. The lawsuit details groping and attempted kissing incidents.
New Hampshire Representative David Love must pay $200,000 and apologize after falsely accusing drag performers of being pedophiles, ending a 2-year legal battle.
A federal appeals court permits Florida gender-affirming care ban to stay, ruling the state is likely to win despite arguments of discrimination and harm.
Brazil's LGBTQ plus community faces rising violence as murders and robberies target gay men met through dating apps. Recent incidents include fatal shootings and armed attacks.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views because of you. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. Thank you for your support. It is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a non-profit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us to support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 wonderful years of the LGBTQ experience and our television news, talk, and entertainment, which shows support to our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and the broader community.
That's right, Patrick. And let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's begin by welcoming Michael Greene. I am so excited to be sitting next to this boy. He has no idea. Look at that face. He serves as the chairman of the Broward County Ending the HIV Epidemic, EHE Advisory Board. He's on the board of directors for the AIDS Institute. He is the community linkage and liaison coordinator for Holy Cross Health. How does he find time to be with us today? I don't know. His passions include advocacy on the local and national levels, as well as movies, music, and a whole lot of travel. Welcome back, Michael. How are you, sweetness?
I'm doing fine, my love. I am so happy to be here. I feel like I've graduated. I'm with Faye now. FayWhat? And, I'm with Patrick and I'm with Ian. I'm just very happy to be here. I do have a quick plug.
Please.
We're doing a voter registration event. I obviously work for a lot of different people in conjunction with Legacy Builders, Holy Cross, Moving Forward Wellness. And we are doing a voter registration event on September 21st from 12 to 5 p.m. at Delaveau Park. And we are encouraging people to come out and get registered to vote. And the Broward County election is going to be there, registering people. We're also, as a kickoff, we'll be having Legacy Tuesday, September 17th at No Manners in Wilton Manors. And that's going to be hosted by Impact and Anthony Wynn Productions. And it's also part of this whole campaign that we're going to be launching to get people registered to vote.
So important. It's so important, Michael. Tai, you registered to vote?
I am indeed.
Patrick, you registered to vote?
Absolutely.
All right. And I did it twice just to make sure. All right, cool. But thank you so much for letting us know about your event, Michael. Very important. Next up, let's welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. He's a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain, and provides an international viewpoint. Welcome back, Tai. How are you? How was the Keys, baby?
I'm great. The Keys were a lot of fun. I might have gotten us into a little trouble. We had a little bit of a Karen experience, but I wound up telling her off, and everything worked out fine.
That's fixing it all with a Karen, is just telling them off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll remember that the next time I encounter one of those. All right. Only you would something like that would happen. Let me tell you.
I did it with a smile on my face.
You did, of course. Yeah. Right. Like where the person is like, is he telling me off?
That's exactly what it was.
I love that. That's white people stuff. I can't get away with that.
Bless your heart.
I love it, Tai. Next, let's welcome Patrik Gallineaux. Did I say that right, Patrik? I've always wondered that.
Fabulous.
Gallineaux.
Say it again, Faye. Say it again.
Patrik Gallineaux.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Well, so he's the global LGBTQ and multicultural ambassador at Stoli Group, with a passion for advocacy and inclusivity. Patrik is dedicated to fostering connections and promoting positive change within the LGBTQ plus community and beyond. He founded Dancing with the Drag Stars in 2009, raising funds for HIV/AIDS support. He is also a columnist and charity event producer. He does so much. Patrik, so Safe Spaces and the Spirit of Change celebration with Stonewall and Stoli is on September 6th in West Hollywood, right? Tell me what's happening.
Faye, I am so excited for this event next Friday, 7 to 9:30 p.m. at the iconic chapel at the Abbey. So, the Stonewall Inn Gives Back Initiative is the official and only nonprofit of the iconic Stonewall Inn in New York City. And next Friday, I'll be co-hosting this event with Stacey Lentz, the co-creator and co-owner of the Stonewall Inn and their nonprofit, with Tristan Shoecraft, the self-appointed CEO of Everything Gay and new owner of the chapel in the Abbey, and of course myself, featuring special guests icon Bruce Valanche, DJ Bryn Taylor, and performances by From the Show legendary Becky Peach. Now, the Safe Spaces part is because the Stonewall Inn Gives Back has an incredible 10-step program that they've been implementing around the world, which gives businesses of all levels a chance to prove to our community that they are welcoming space for trans, for lesbian, for gay. These 10 steps include cultural competency safe space training, revisiting policies and procedures and rewriting them, proving and making sure that donations are not made to anti-LGBTQ politicians and that we're only supporting LGBTQ plus organizations. I'm very proud that at the start of this year, I steered Stoli Group successfully globally through the program so that Stoli is now a global safe space organization.
I love that. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Now, Spirit of Change is Stoli's brand new global campaign standing for societal change that leads to a better world. It is the most LGBTQ forward general campaign of any spirits company that I have ever seen. Our creative and graphics are fully rainbow with a liquid sploosh we've trademarked called the Liquid Shape, which stands for fluidity, that we are not one thing. Our spirits are not one thing. We want to be free to change. And on the label, instead of one Capitol building as through Stoli's history, we are now Stoli with a skyline of 10 buildings of the world. Now we are of the capitals, recognizing that it is the cities of the world where our community has always had to come together to find and create our safe spaces. Therefore, our partnership with Stonewall is our call to action. We are traveling the world, as we just did in Copenhagen last week, with Stacey and Sigby to educate the world how they can become certified. So next Friday, we are going to be announcing that the Abbey has become Safe Space certified. Wonderful. Tristan Shoecraft, as the new owner, has a mission of traveling the world, helping to save our legacy organizations and institutions, such as the former Atlantic Beach Hotel in Puerto Rico, which he's now reopening as a Tryst. He's just bought a big part of Fire Island and is opening amazing new properties in Puerto Vallarta. So all of his properties will become Safe Space certified. We'll be educating the community about how they can become certified, and we'll be giving out a Changemaker Award to FayWhat. I'm kidding. In the future, but we are giving out a Changemaker Award, which is part of this whole program, to someone, I can't tell you who, it will be a surprise, but a total top nominee is Bruce Valanche.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Bruce loves Fort Lauderdale. Tai follows him around when he's in Wilton.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, the closest brush to fame that I ever had was Bruce retweeted something I said about Bette Midler.
Oh,
He,
my God.
you know, Bruce is, but he's so good at that. If you post something fabulous and witty, as you did,
he will support for sure. So, folks out there in California, if you want to go see, Patrik, please follow him on social media.
Yes.
So you can be out there at the world famous Abbey and the chapel and everything that they've done. And Tristan, they've been through their hurdles and their obstacles, and they've come out smelling like fresh flowers. And especially in a place where DEI is being taken down at every organization, something like that is super important. So make sure you follow Patrik to get all the details. And folks in LA and over there on the West Coast in WeHo, get on over and support Patrik.
Yeah, and all you have to do is send me a private message on Instagram, Patrik Gallineaux.
Not on Grindr.
No, not on Grindr, and unless I'm in another country. But for real, it's a semi-private event. But if you see this episode and you want to come, message me, and I will put you on the guest list.
Thank you, Patrik.
Well, speaking of smelling like fresh flowers, this is tonight's lead anchor from the house of what? FayWhat. She's a legendary event host and television radio personality, and the host of the FayWhat show on Mondays at Hotspots Happening Out. Faye, G-Girl's second annual pod party is starting August 31st. Tell me, what's going on?
Ladies, this is for you, baby, all right? It's time to get wet this Labor Day weekend. The G-Girls of South Florida proudly present its second annual pool party at La Casa in Fort Lauderdale Beach, all right? So that's August 31st to September 3rd. We are taking over the property just 2 blocks from A1A. La Casa is at 2727 Terramar Street in Fort Lauderdale. Entertainment, DJ, food. The pool party is on the 31st, but there's going to be day passes available throughout. Contact the G-Girls at ggirlsflorida@gmail.com or on Facebook under the G-Girls, okay? The amazing G-Girls are an exclusive and supportive group that wants to promote more women-owned businesses. They inspire us to do great things and have fun while doing it. So go get in the pool with the G-Girls. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. Let's begin by queering up breaking news. Out for Harris campaign comes to Sunshine Cathedral this Saturday. The relaunched Out for Harris will have its Florida launch in Fort Lauderdale this Saturday at Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts. The August 31st event will be from 1 to 3 p.m. Michael Womack, secretary for the Harris for President campaign, made the announcement today. Womack, a member of the LGBTQ plus community, told Queer News Tonight executive producer that, quote, the queer community was vital to Harris Walls' campaign, both in Florida and across the nation, end quote. The Out for Harris campaign launch is symbolic, being held in Florida's largest LGBTQ plus community and in the shadow of Donald Trump's home of Mar-a-Lago. You must register to attend the free event rally. Featured speakers include Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Nadine Smith, the co-founder and CEO of Equality Florida. Other featured speakers include Todd Delmay, Executive Director of SAVE, and Kristen Broud, President of the Florida LGBTQ plus Caucus. Other special speakers include Janelle Perez, Executive Director of LPAC, I love her, the national political organization dedicated to electing LGBTQ women to public office. Other special guests are to be announced leading up to the Out for Harris rally. Tickets are free, but again, you must register to attend at the link on your screen right now. Hotspots Happening Out and Queer News Tonight plans full coverage of Florida's launch of Harris for Florida. This is such exciting news, and the fact that we are filming Queer News Tonight on the Sunshine Cathedral, campus is so amazing that all these people are going to be having this rally 2 feet away. And so they haven't announced everybody who's going to come. And I'm really hoping that they bring Pete.
Oh, I hope so too.
Do you think that they would bring Mayor Pete? Do you think?
I don't know. Is he stumping for them right now?
He is. He's spreading the word. So, I wouldn't be surprised. He's a key speaker. We thought that he was up for the running for VP,
Yeah.
So why not? Why not bring him to the gayest place on planet Earth?
He wasn't my first thought. My first thought was her husband.
Doug,
yeah, because he is so awesome. And he would be a great one to come out and get us rallied.
Yes.
Now, Pete's husband, Chasten, does a great job as a surrogate also for Pete, doesn't he?
Yeah. Let's do Chasten.
Chasten,
right?
yes.
He does a great job as well. Those two are great.
Well, plus the fact of it's a holiday weekend, so people will be off, so the opportunity to come and hopefully meet our future president and to stomp for her and to rally, that would be such a great, and it's free.
And it's free. And it's free. And I wish it was Walls that was coming, you know? I mean, I think he's a little busy. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, DNC, I was, all my friends know this, right? I didn't watch DNC the last couple of years. I would look up the highlights and find out what happened and who was there, and that was that, right? Well, last week, the DNC, that was my telenovela. That was my little, you know, I was watching it every single day. And every single day I got surprised by a new surprise. Who's going to be coming out today? Somebody that I know and love, somebody that's supporting Kamala, you know, and I fell in love with Doug, right? I fell in love with Kamala Harris, his husband. And I also fell in love with just their unity and how they both are talking to us, right? So if any of that trickles down and we're able to see it right here at Sunshine Cathedral, what a great opportunity.
And you know, there was so much California love on that stage and people that I've known from my time in San Francisco. I first saw Kamala Harris 20 years ago in the Castro Muni station by herself, passing out flyers in the most cheerful voice, a smile on her face, saying, vote for Kamala, vote for Kamala. And so it's so beautiful to see her, was beautiful to see her last week on that stage. And the gentleman the first night who sang the national anthem, Aristotle or Aris Garcia, he was a cute little club kid that I used to hang out with in his early 20s, who I haven't seen in years. And so it's so wonderful to see people be elevated and shine.
And shine.
And that's what I feel Kamala Harris does do and will continue to do for our community.
And all her representatives, you can just tell that they know that they're crossing their T's, they're dotting their I's. They want to make sure that every group is seen.
Yes.
And that's how you get people to vote for you. And I know that there's a lot of people on the fence here in Florida because, you know, a lot of people think, hey, we're in a red state. Your vote doesn't count. Your vote does count.
Well, and it counts even more because not just because Kamala's on the ticket, but because we have all the other issues on the ticket that we have in this state. We've got abortion rights. We've got medicinal marijuana. We've got other things. Yeah. We've got a Senate election that really needs to be flipped. So, you know.
Plus, we also have local judges, and it is so important to vote. I mean, I know I talked about a voter registration event, but I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on, get out and vote, because at the end of the day, people did die for the right, for people like us, for women, for blacks, for Latinos, to have the right to vote in this country. So do it.
Yes. Well, I'll be looking forward to definitely the event at Sunshine Cathedral. Make sure that you register, okay? It's free, but you got to register. Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. New lawsuit alleges sexual battery by Florida Representative Fabian Basabe. A new lawsuit filed against the Florida House of Representatives includes disturbing allegations against gay freshman Representative Fabian Basabe, who represents Miami Beach. The legal action builds on previous claims of sexual harassment and now includes accusations of sexual battery. The lawsuit lodged by former staffers Nicholas Fervola and Jacob Cutbirth claims Basabe engaged in inappropriate behavior that goes beyond initial allegations. Fervola and Cutbirth had previously accused Basabe of sexual harassment, including an incident where Basabe allegedly grabbed Fervola's rear and made a lewd comment and attempted to kiss Cutbirth after a ride to his hotel. The new lawsuit adds a serious charge that Basabe groped and tried to kiss a young man named Didi at his Miami home in December 2022. According to the complaint, Fervola witnessed Basabe encouraging guests to swim in their underwear before attempting to touch Didi. Despite Didi's protests, Basabe allegedly pulled him toward the house when he appeared intoxicated. Fervola's account describes his discomfort over Basabe's aggressive behavior and the fact that Didi was both heterosexual and visibly drunk. This development further complicates the legal and ethical landscape for Basabe and the Florida House. Basabe is running for a re-election in November against gay community member Joe Saunders, who is senior political director for Equality Florida. You know, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones, right? Okay, I'm late to the party, folks. I know. It's like, 10 years ago, I get it, but I am watching Game of Thrones now. And whenever somebody does anything super, super bad, right, they make the person get naked and walk through the streets of the town where people throw stuff at them. This lady, a nun or something, goes behind them with a bell and just screams, shame, shame, shame. Okay, you get the gist, right? Well, so that was what was happening with Basabe when he was in the Miami Beach Pride Parade. right? He was in the parade. He didn't care that we didn't want him there and that people didn't want him there because of him wanting to support Don't Say Gay. He wanted it to extend even further than where it was already. I know all the harm that it was towards our LGBTQ plus youth, right? So he was banned at the end from Miami Beach Pride, and he wasn't allowed to go in the parade last year, right? And I just remembered, like, just thinking to myself, well, but I mean, if he's gay, don't we want him to be part of our community? Well, I did some searching, and, you know, we're not here to out anybody. He's never said that he's gay, right? We just automatically assumed because of the alleged stories that we've heard, you know, through the rumor mill, right? But someone has been affected and abused by his actions. You know, these two people made it a point to go and go to the cops and do a report. Lots of people that are drunk and things like this happen to them, they won't go do that, right? Because of shame, because of fear of retaliation, because of a myriad of reasons, right? So these boys were affected and they deserve justice. If he did this to them, especially under the influence, you know when someone can't give consent.
Right.
All right? Consent is key. Consent is number one. And if someone can't give you consent and you're trying to lure them into a room, you know, against their will, there's something wrong there. And you're trying to represent us, you know, I mean, come on.
Yeah. And even if something is in any way exaggerated, if you are a politician or those are your aspirations, you need to live your life carefully and you need to clean up your acts in public, you know, really. And I was actually judging the Miami Beach Pride Parade when he came by.
Yes, I remember.
And you remember that. And I was focusing on his reaction, and he was doing a very good job of not letting it affect him. But clearly, when you have that much of a crowd out to celebrate a joyous day and are being negatively impacted, something is going south.
Yeah.
And if you are a politician who in any way, unless you have some master Game of Thrones plans where you're like a plant and you're going to get in there and then somehow reverse everything, which I don't think was the case, supporting Don't Say Gay was just wrong.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be in the parade.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, I'm sorry, let me pull my glasses off like the old mothers used to do. You know, there's the thing that you said about consent. You do not have the right, I don't care how drunk they are, I don't care whatever. Consent is consent. And regardless of where you're leaning in your sexual orientation, we are human and we deserve to be respected. So he is fortunate, I had to edit myself a little bit, that he met a person that did not do him physical harm. Because there's some people who don't play that, whether they even identify as gay. I've been in situations where people come up and usually they think it's cute. You know, I've had stuff done to me in front of my boss. You know, oh, you know, this is a part of being gay. No, it's part of your overstepping your boundaries. You know your place, stay in your lane. So consent equals consent. If you do not have consent, don't do it.
Yeah.
So the consent thing is obviously very important, but you know, I do have the joke, 3 drinks and I can flip them.
I don't know what to make of that.
Right? I'm like, okay. Okay. That's why I drink soda water.
If they have 3 drinks or you have 3 drinks?
Somebody has 3 drinks.
Somebody has to have 3 drinks.
So we'll stay on top of this story. There'll definitely be more to come soon on this. We'll see. We'll stay on top of it. Tai, what's
Absolutely. Next, let's queer up gay culture. New Hampshire state representative ordered to pay $200,000 to drag queens for defamation. In a landmark case, New Hampshire State Representative David Love has been ordered to pay $100,000 each to drag performers Robert Champion and Michael McMahon and publicly apologize after he falsely accused them of being pedophiles. The settlement marks the end of a 2-year battle that began when Love made defamatory statements while introducing a bill requiring criminal background checks for library employees and volunteers. In February 2022, Love, who had previously opposed drag queens' story hours, claimed Champion, performing as Monique Toosoon, and McMahon, known as Clara Devine, had inappropriate interactions with children. Champion, who participated in a Nashua event in 2019, was accused of being a convicted sex offender, while McMahon was alleged to have acted inappropriately at a 2021 event in Derry. Despite objections from the accused, local officials, and from the community members, Love persisted with these unfounded claims. The plaintiffs, however, now received a retraction and financial compensation following their lawsuit. Love's public apology on social media acknowledged his failure to verify information. He wrote, quote, "I have since learned that those assertions were completely false," end quote. He expressed regret and confirmed the $100,000 payments. Following the settlement, Champion reacted, quote, "When you say things that are that damaging or harmful about someone, they're not going to just sit there and let it happen." McMahon echoed the sentiment, saying, quote, "I want this to stand as a message for other people to not lie." Well, of course, don't lie, but there's not one bone in my body that believes he didn't know that he was lying. Like, he absolutely was doing it on purpose to get a rise, to make a point. And his point is absolutely lost, and I think they deserve more than $100,000.
I agree.
I agree. And first of all, his name is Love. Your last name is Love, dude, and you don't represent any of that. Like, I don't understand that, number one, right? Number two, I agree that they definitely deserve a lot more money than $100,000, all right? A retraction ain't shit. That is out there on the internet forever. There is no way to retract everything. You know, there's no way to clean the internet from you saying that these incredible, talented entertainers are pedophiles. You know, it will always be on there. So, I mean, so kudos for the justice system getting this over with in 2 years. That I'm pretty surprised about.
Right. Fast,
right?
actually,
because we've heard many other stories of school boards and LGBTQ plus issues that have taken years and years and years to be resolved. So kudos on that. But I do agree that they deserve a little more for that. That you just can't do that. And I agree with you. I don't think he did any other research or anything to find out. He just said drag queens equals pedophiles, and which is a disgusting thing to even say and just have come out your mouth so easy, so relaxed. It wasn't the first time he said stuff like that. Let's put it that way, Ty. You know, that's how he talks in his own living room for sure.
Sure. And congratulations to both of them for standing up and taking it to court, because it would be very easy just to step back and say, "Oh no, this is, you know, I'm just going to roll with it." And,
well, your name is all you have.
Yeah.
You know, that's what my parents taught me, to value and to have a good name behind yourself. So, no, I'm not going to let you sit there and accuse me of something that I know that I'm not.
Yes.
You know, and like you said, talented performers, you know, so how dare you think that you can get away with just slandering my name?
And really, the more of a pulpit that someone has who makes those attacks is how it should be gauged, what their fine should be. We need to be impeccable in our word. It's one of the 4 agreements. And if you have been entrusted with taking care of our communities as an elected official or an appointed official with that big of a pulpit, your words can either uplift or do even more damage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
All right, on to the next story. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Appeals courts rule Florida can become trans health care wasteland. In a significant development, a federal appeals court has allowed Florida's controversial ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth and its restrictive measures for transgender adults to remain in effect while legal challenges proceed. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, in a 2-1 decision, ruled that the state is likely to prevail in the case known as Doe versus Lapapo. The panel's majority opinion, authored by Judge Britt C. Grant and Robert J. Luck, stated that the lower court might have incorrectly judged the state legislative intent as discriminatory. Judge Charles R. Wilson, dissenting, argued that the district court had found sufficient evidence of discrimination and warned that the ban would lead to unnecessary suffering for transgender individuals. The dispute centers on Florida's Senate Bill 254, enacted in May of 2023, which codifies severe restrictions on gender-affirming care and imposes criminal and civil penalties on medical providers. The law also mandates that care can be provided solely by physicians and bars telehealth, creating erroneous consent requirements. In June, U.S. District Judge Robert Hinkle had issued a permanent injunction against the law, deeming it unconstitutional and discriminatory. The injunction was not stayed during the appeals process. The plaintiffs, represented by a coalition including GLBTQ legal advocates and defenders and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, argued that the law violates equal protection rights and causes undue harm. The case continues as legal battles over Florida gender-affirming care restrictions unfold. Wow, that was a lot. My voice was going through something. You know, this story is so hurtful, harmful. You know, I have, since I've moved back, I've said to the group earlier, I've lived here on and off for 31 years. And when I moved back to Florida in 2014, I had the privilege to start making new friends that were of trans experience. Some beautiful, beautiful individuals. I don't know their struggle. I know what a struggle it is to be a black man in America that identifies as part of the LGBTQ plus community who also happens to be HIV positive. So those are my issues. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be using my hands. I can't imagine for a person who, you know, is of trans experience, who feels like was born the wrong sex, the wrong gender, in the wrong body, and to navigate that and to find the courage to come out and live, and then you're met with such hate and no love, no sympathy, no compassion. So I hope that these laws get changed, and this is Dallin Michael Greene speaking. You know, let's make that clear. But I've said on this show several times, we are all human. We are all worthy of respect. We're worthy of dignity, you know, and so many people in the trans community, that's how they present themselves, with dignity and grace. And it's just thrown back in their face.
Yeah.
So the thing that really gets under my skin about all of this is just the blatant and disregard for the hypocrisy of it. So this was all peddled to the public as parents' rights, right? What's the one thing that this law bans? A parent's right to affirm their child's gender-affirming care. So it's actually stripping parents of their rights that the language was used to sell it. So it drives me nuts. This will move to the next level. I don't know what the next level is, but hopefully, you know, it gets a fair shake, and the arguments that we're able to present to stay it will prevail.
Yeah, and it's that antiquated, ridiculous, and quite frankly, arrogant by the people who would put this on us, thinking that initially even just the gay and lesbian community faced that, oh, you know, you're not born that way. You choose this, and your upbringing is going to cause it, which is absolute poppycock.
Yeah.
And the same thing for the trans community. You know, for me earlier on a few years ago, when even I was trying to wrap my head around what we all are and all the meaning of all these letters, a beautiful trans friend of mine, a woman, explained to me that for her, and I know not everyone feels this way, and she acknowledged that, but for her, she feels like she was simply born with a birth defect, like any other child who is born with a birth defect, that their parents, government, would immediately step in to try to connect. Maybe being born with an extra limb, whatever. And that's all it is at the end of the day. So the arrogance.
Poppycock. That's my new word. Poppycock. You know, the Trevor Project tells us every single year that how do we save LGBTQ plus youth, right? Especially the T. We make sure that we support gender affirming care. That is how kids don't think about outing themselves, you know, offing themselves, excuse me. You know, think about that. Someone that is such a dark place, right? They're living in this state saying, wow, the government doesn't even see me. Or someone that's already started their transition and now you're going to block that from them. You know, healthcare disparities are throughout our LGBTQ plus community, right? But especially the T. And you're taking away telehealth. Do you understand that a lot of people in our community don't have cars, don't have ways to get around, right? You're making it harder for our siblings to get the care that they just need. And understand that this is another reason why you need to vote, folks, all right? Okay, Trump wants JFK he wants to make him the health secretary, all right? Take that in, okay? The guy with the worms in his head, all right? And if Trump wins and he is appointed, everything LGBTQ plus resource is going to be gone. Gone. So understand that. Like, you know, and I also know that they're putting a lot of things aside and waiting till after the election to make a lot of decisions on a lot of very important things. This being one of them, you know. It kills me. It makes me despise the right even more, right? Because you're going after our hardest hit, you know, community members. Nobody has been targeted more this freaking year and last year, you know, since Trump and DeSantis learned the word trans than the trans community.
I want to know why they're called the right when they're so often wrong.
Right. But then not only that, just to echo that too, let's look at our Black trans siblings that are victimized and targeted and killed. You know, so many have perished. And, you know, thank God for trans organizations like Trans Social and Trans Inclusive. And, you know, there's a few others, McKinsey Project and, you know, others. But I mean, to look at the list of people that are brutally killed and murdered, and for what? You know, so it's beyond sad, and there's language that I would love to use, but I can't use because I'm here with Faye and I have to be nice.
No, and you have to be nice. You know, I think it was last year or the year before, Puerto Rico sent out a state of emergency because of the amount of Black and brown trans women that were being killed. Did you hear anything about that? You probably didn't. It's not anything that that people really talk about and get behind and try to fight here in the United States. Our Black and brown trans sisters are being killed every day. All right. And nobody talks about it. Lowest hanging fruit. It's just not fair. Patrik, what's next, baby?
Well, with that segue, I'll carry on with let's queer up the worldview. And does Brazil have a serial killer targeting gay men through dating apps? The LGBTQ community in Brazil is grappling with a disturbing rise in violence, with a series of murders and armed robberies targeting gay men who met their assailants through dating apps. Reuters reported that since March, at least 5 men have been killed and dozens more have fallen victim to armed robberies. One recent victim was Leo Nunes, a 24-year-old who arranged a meeting with a man from the dating app Hornet in Sao Paulo on June 12th, Lover's Day in Brazil. Security footage revealed 2 men on a motorcycle arriving at the alley where Nunes was waiting, stealing his phone and fatally shooting him. A suspect has been apprehended. Brazil's large LGBTQ population also faces significant risks, compounded by fears of mistreatment by authorities. According to lawyer Wanderlei Montanali, because of structural homophobia, criminals know that LGBTQ people are vulnerable. They know they will be more easily intimidated. He is representing the family of Heleno Vegidumba, a gay doctor murdered in April after a date arranged through a dating app led to an attempted robbery and his death. Gabriel, another victim, recounted his attack in March near the site of Nunes's murder. He said, "One man put a gun to my stomach and asked me the password of my phone." His attackers then drained his bank account and maxed out his credit card. After reports and complaints about a fake profile used in these crimes, the app has since increased its review team. Nunes's parents labeled his murder an anti-gay hate crime, but legal and societal challenges often prevent such incidents from being officially recognized as homophobic. Crime investigators are looking at the possibility that one or more of the criminals could be classified as serial killers, which would be a first in Brazil. Wow. So I have a lot of emotions about this story on all ends. I was in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in March, and I've been there many times. I have Brazil tattooed on my arm, which happened after my first visit in 2019. And the one thing that people always ask me, despite Brazil having been the safest country I've ever visited for me, with one small exception, I always tell people that if you use common sense, you should be okay. You know, don't just go blind. So my fear in seeing this story is, of course, that it's going to freak people out from wanting to visit this beautiful country. I also am reminded that when I lived in San Francisco, I would see on a regular basis, I feel like, flyers about missing gay men on telephone poles. And I've seen that here too. So this is something that happens everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it's awful what's happening in Brazil, you know? But I think it's important to remember that this affects our community. It affects all communities. Now, I was just in Denmark, and there, I mean, I know it's one of the statistically safest places in the world because there's more government access to education, to healthcare. And a country like Brazil has more disparity, largely because if you're in Rio de Janeiro, you look up at the mountains, you see the favelas, and people can see the opulence down below. That doesn't mean everyone up there is bad. I've toured the favelas, and they're magical, fascinating. I would live up there. But there's a reason for it in certain countries, inclusive of in the United States. But I really hate to see this story because I want people to know they can go have an incredible vacation in Brazil, but this is a problem and it's something that we do have to address better, and especially through dating apps.
I'm surprised. I guess surprised is not the right word. We did a story a couple of months back about where most LGBTQ plus people live worldwide, right? And Brazil was like top 3 of the amount of people. I was kind of taken aback by that. So it's surprising that in a country that has so many of us also deals with so much of backlash, the government's against us. We can go on and on and on. The disparity between, the people that have money and the people that have absolutely nothing, But just like you said, this can happen anywhere, Patrik. This can happen anywhere. I went to Turkey with 50 LGBTQ plus people, and I told every single boy, you better not open up that grinder. I'll slap you right here. Because that's how they're getting a lot of boys also. Right. They're baiting you in, and then they rob you or whatever.
And don't meet anyone in an alley. I mean, the story reported.
But isn't that where most boys have sex in alleys?
Well, I don't know.
I use dumpsters.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let me just say, I love Brazil. I've been traveling to Brazil for about the past 15 years. And so common sense is very important, and I look at it like this. I'll say it this way. If I'm not going to meet somebody in the alley in Wilton Manors or Fort Lauderdale Beach, I damn sure not going to meet you in the alley in a foreign country. I said what I said.
Ultimately, it's just, let's start making better decisions, and not to blame the victims, because obviously no one deserves that. But as a community, we need to learn to be safer with some of our decisions, and we also need to educate and inform. Wait, who does that? We do. We need to educate and inform people around the world about what's going on and how to better prepare and take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
common sense.
And everything we're talking about here, from legislation to, how we can be more accepting, would lead to less violence because people wouldn't feel like they had to go hide in an alley, right?
Yeah.
We should be a more sex-positive world and not shame same-gender relationships of any sort, correct?
Completely. So if there is a serial killer in Brazil, what would be the name of him? You know how they always come up with would it be like the Rainbow Killer? Or would it be the Grinder Killer? Or would it be, I don't know.
The Hornet Stinger.
The Hornet Stinger. There, Dateline. Use that. Folks, get ready for the epic Antarctic cruise from Rio to Buenos Aires adventure. Embark on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure with nonprofit Hotspots Happening Out's Travel Club's Celebrity Equinox Antarctica and South American Cruise Tour. Visit Rio de Janeiro, witness the thunderous beauty of Iguazu Falls, and soak up the cultural riches of Buenos Aires. Then set sail on a 15-day Antarctic voyage aboard the ultra-luxurious Celebrity Equinox, discovering the icy splendor of Cape Horn, the serenity of Paradise Bay, and Antarctica. Visit the charming Falkland Islands and Uruguay. With deluxe accommodations, seamless transfers, and all-inclusive sightseeing, this journey promises unforgettable moments. Book now at happeningout.travel.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ+ media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We also thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ+ community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza. Jet's Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Next on Queer News Tonight, LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Pride Skate Night returns September 5th. Woohoo! Join the monthly Pride Skate at Extreme Action Park for an epic evening of skating, fun, and fabulousness. Groove to beats by DJ T Pro Mix and catch dazzling performances by the one and only Velvet Lenore and the other one and only Rihanna Patron. Enjoy a full liquor bar and a lively atmosphere. This family-friendly event supports the Wilton Manor Stonewall Pride Parade and Street Festival. Entry is just $15 with skate rental included, or you can go VIP baby for $25 and get 2 free beers or wines. More information is available on extremeactionpark.com. I'm so excited that this is back September. It's time. We missed you, all right? And you had me at Rihanna Patron and Velvet Lenore and 2 drinks for $25, all right? Here's the thing, though. I use quads. I don't do inline skating, okay? And I love that they offer both.
Yes.
So you know, do you do quads or inline skating?
Oh, no, definitely quads. I can't. My ankles are too thin. But Velvet, Rihanna, I challenge you to a skate off.
Ooh!
Wow, that would be fabulous. I love the skating night at Extreme Action, but I'm afraid to go because every single time I go, the next month I injure myself really badly, but not on the rink. So the first time I went, when I moved here, I know it's weird. I was afraid to go because years ago I had an ACL injury dancing on stage, and I popped my ACL, and I had not gotten onto skates again. And so when I moved here in 2021, my friends encouraged me. We went, I got on skates, had the time of my life. I was whizzing around that rink. 3 weeks later, I was in the Dominican Republic and broke 3 fingers. I was jumped by 2 guys. They were good looking, at least.
Oh my goodness.
But so broke 3 fingers. Got that taken care of when I came back. Still had a great vacation. Took me about 8 months. Got up the courage. Went back to Extreme Action Park hey, I'm doing it. I'm whizzing around. The very next month, I popped my patella tendon on stage hosting the high heel shoe drop.
Wow.
And so I haven't been back since.
Okay, it's time for you to go back. And let's go back September. And honey,
okay,
if something happened like when you left there or the next day,
Right.
you probably could say it had something to do with Pride Skate. But it happened a month later, Patrick, and you're blaming it on
But see, it's like a pattern. I go to Pride Skate and then a month later.
Okay. Well, then go to Pride Skate and then just
And break the curse.
Just stay close. Yes.
Break
There
the
you go.
curse. Okay.
Break the curse.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. My future husband, Channing Tatum, raves about queer favorite Paris is Burning. In a new Criterion Collection video, Channing and Zoe Kravitz dive into their film Blink Twice and stumble upon one iconic 1990 documentary, Paris is Burning. Tatum raves about the film's unmatched cinematography and its unique snapshot of a time and place that's now a piece of queer cinema history. With a modest $500,000 budget, Paris is Burning captures the vibrant ballroom culture of New York City and has been celebrated for its impact ever since. The movie received numerous accolades and was inducted into the National Film Registry in 2016.
Okay, Paris is Burning, the best documentary of all time.
Actually, all time.
Oh my
We did a
god.
marathon of
Ooh,
this.
look at this cover. This is like,
The cinematography in this is, I don't think it'll be matched.
Oh my God.
It's one of those
It's-
things. It's a place and time that you will never be captured again.
it's incredible and just like beautiful and heartbreaking and honest.
Yeah.
And me and my father, like, we quote this
Yeah.
movie a
No,
lot.
I watched it with you guys over Christmas, and I was like, "You guys,
You're like, shut
this
up.
is like your Godfather.
Touch
like,
this skin. Touch this skin.
So Paris is Burning, obviously fantastic film. I'm also looking forward to seeing their film. Cause
The Blink Twice?
Yeah, The Blink. What a great cast, right? Those two are fantastic.
Oh my God. And you know what I got from this is that Lenny Kravitz watched Paris is Burning. That's what I got from this. How cool is that? And I love that Paris is Burning is still something that's referred to and talked about, 30, 40 years later. Like that's a beautiful thing.
Have you seen the movie The Queen, which is really a precursor to Paris is Burning?
Oh.
You know The Queen?
No.
So The Queen, 1968, 1969, it focuses on a drag queen named Flawless Sabrina, who is producing pageants in New York City. And first of all, the documentary footage is amazing. It's very comforting to see people living their lives just as we do today in black and white. But what's even more interesting is captured on film at the end of the documentary is Crystal LaBeija, who is shown competing, does not win, storms off the stage, and is throwing shade at the camera, saying that she was discriminated against and is going to go form her own house. Hence, Paris is Burning.
Yeah, I love that. The prequel.
The
right
prequel.
there.
It is. It
that.
is.
Something to
Queen.
watch this weekend. All
What's
right.
next, Michael?
Well, we have LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Calvin Klein Queer-Centric campaigns keeps us coming back. The the Bears' Jeremy Allen White is this week's latest Calvin Klein underwear star. But from Justice Smith to India Moore to Tyree Sivan and Pablo Vittar, Calvin Klein campaign ads have flaunted LGBTQ plus stars with flair. Known for their stunning underwear ads, the brands combine representation with sex appeal. Over the years, Calvin Klein has showcased a range of fabulous faces, including Brandon Flynn, Jeremy Pope, Cara Delevingne, and many, many more. Their ads not only celebrate diversity, but also keep Calvin Klein at the forefront of pop culture. Who would you like to add to the list of queer icons? The first person I would say, because I'm a nut, I love Doctor Who, and I love, excuse me if I mispronounce your name, but it's Kuchti Gatwan?
Gatwa. Yeah.
Gatwa. Okay. I think that would be great. And then I just remembered as we were talking about this, his introduction to the character of Doctor Who, he was in his underwear. But I think for diversity and just the science geek in me, that would be so cool to see him featured in an ad.
I love that. I think, wasn't it, I think it was Brooke Shields who was like in a Calvin Klein jeans, right?
Yeah.
A million years ago, right? She was one of the
Nothing
first
comes
ones.
between me and my
Nothing comes
Calvins,
Between
yes.
me and my Calvins, and she was like 11, right? Let's see, who would I pick? I love Coleman Domingo. I just love him. And he's such a just juicy brown man. I just want to see him in his underwear. Pedro Pascal. Okay, I throw his name and everything. All right, he's queer adjacent. That's enough, right? There's just so many people that we could choose for that, right?
I wanna see Jonathan Bailey in those Calvins, and I want to drool all over those gutters.
Oh my word. And I would like to see Laith Ashley, who I've had a secret little crush on ever since I interviewed him in New York for a series.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And it really so hard to stay focused. I was like, you are gorgeous.
He is gorgeous.
Yes.
And that would be a perfect next step for Calvin Klein. Take note,
Yes.
all right?
Yes.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the USA view. LGBTQ Green Acres effect. As survey says, gay men want cities while lesbians want country. The 1960s TV show Green Acres, that could be today's LGBTQ conflict. One half of the couple wanted a city penthouse view, and the other wanted farm and rural life. The 2020 United States Census has now confirmed what many in the LGBTQ plus community have long observed. Gay men and couples are predominantly drawn to major urban cities, especially those on the coast. The survey showed lesbian couples often choose small towns and rural settings. Counties with the largest number of partnered gay men are San Francisco, Manhattan, and Boston. San Francisco County stands out with nearly 6% of households consisting of gay male couples, the highest concentration in the U.S. On the other hand, the Berkshires in Massachusetts, Portland Valley in Oregon, and Asheville in North Carolina lead in lesbian households. The Berkshires, known for its scenic beauty and educational institutions, boast the highest concentration of lesbian households in America, nearly 4%. Farm living or penthouse view? Which one is for you? Well, I can see that, right? I can see that. When I lived in San Francisco, I had quite a few girlfriends in San Francisco, and they wanted to go to Guerneville, and they wanted to go to, weird hiking places, and I'm like, in a dress and heels? Like, what do you mean? So I totally get it. The Berkshires are so inundated with all these lesbian couples, and it's a beautiful thing. Asheville, you go there and you're going to run into a bunch of, artisan making, crunchy lesbians that are having the best time of their life, And when you think of the boys love San Francisco. They love New York. They love Boston. They love hotspots, Wilton Manors, right? South Beach. That's where, that's where the boys like to go. But I think that there's also an interchange of both. There's also gay boys that love the country. We had two boys that went out, the Midway Motel. They ended up going to Lacachuquichuqui, some city like that in Florida, and opened up a motel and ended up bringing drag shows and everything in the middle of Trump world, So we're everywhere, but the census just definitely show us some things that we probably already thought of in the past.
So, I'm not coupled, so I guess I'm not included in this sentence. I'm not coupled, America. But I'm a city boy, but I am now starting to think maybe I'm going back to my roots and I want to go back to the country.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really our condition, especially of a certain age, isn't it? Like, I grew up in Western New York in a city of 12,000 people and could imagine nothing more than being in a big city, and had to make it to New York, to San Francisco. But the same thing, like, I've actually started growing plants on my patio and never thought I would enjoy nature. I'm having those thoughts too. Should we get a cabin together in the middle of Asheville?
Maybe you lesbians. I love it.
I'm wearing Birkenstocks.
Oh,
Well, I was just going to say, this is not only going out to the United States, it's going out to the world. So
oh, good. Well,
there's greater opportunity.
That's perfect.
But
I'll learn your language.
Okay. Hey, I like living in a big city, but I would love to live in a smaller place for 6 months out of the year. And I've been that way for many, many years.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah.
See, so it's not something that with age for some people, because I was with you. Like, I grew up in New Jersey. It is a big city, but not in comparison to New York. Right. So it was like, okay, the second I turned 17, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Exactly.
So
that's what we all do.
So you end up wherever the hell you end up. All right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wherever your heart is, or wherever you fall in love with some cute twink or some, stud, that's where you end up.
I love your wisdom, Faye. And LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the worldview. Sigbee Safe Spaces panel shines at Copenhagen Pride with Stonewall veterans and Stoli. That's me. Copenhagen Pride 2024 was once again truly extraordinary, a testament to its reputation as one of the best organized and most purposeful Pride events worldwide. The highlight this year was the Stonewall Inn Gives Back Initiative, or SIGB, Safe Spaces panel, which took place on August 15th, Thursday, at Copenhagen City Hall. Beautiful. Moderated by Stonewall Gives Back CEO Stacy Lentz, and featuring 85-year-old Stonewall veteran Tree Sequoia, as well as Stonewall co-owner Kurt Kelly, and guess what? Myself, your global LGBTQ ambassador. Our panel focused on the importance of creating and maintaining safe spaces for our community, and I was thrilled to be a part of it. Stoli Group returned for its second year as a presenting sponsor of Amazing Copenhagen Pride. The next day on Friday, all of us were invited to an incredible Ambassador Pride function with the ambassadors of New Zealand, England, Canada, the United States, and Denmark. It was actually interesting that the Canadian ambassador in her remarks opined that she noticed at last year's ambassador event, which I was at with Stuart Milk of the Harvey Milk Foundation, that the Australian ambassador had at her residence their official mascot, which was a real live baby kangaroo. Oh, okay. Whereas when you walked into the Canadian ambassador's pride party, you saw a person in a furry, and the Canadian ambassador let the crowd know, I'm really getting depressed that we haven't really decided on a name for our beaver. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And then, of course, on Saturday was the amazing Copenhagen Pride Parade and Festival. We marched with one of the most exquisite gay bars in all of Denmark, the legendary Jailhouse Bar, with the leadership of their general manager, Niels Holm. And of course, our 85-year-old Stonewall veteran Tree marched all 500 miles with us, and it was a beautiful day in Copenhagen.
That sounds just remarkable. I was following your journey online. I love when you post when you're traveling. But when you think of Copenhagen, wasn't Denmark like the first country to actually acknowledge gay marriage?
And the marriage actually took place just a couple doors down from the room where we held our Safe Spaces panel. Isn't that remarkable? And that's one thing about the country and a lot of places in Europe that's so refreshing is that, first of all, everyone speaks 20 languages. So feel absolutely stupid as an American. But, everyone is so unbothered by what other people look like, their sexuality. You can tell that there's so much space freed up in people's heads to really focus on more enlightened things. And their pride reflects that in that they match every moment on stage by a drag performer or artist with sessions and panels right next door at their beautiful city hall to educate and bring a spotlight on diversity. And they have a program where they actively seek out and welcome international guests with a hospitality program so that they are bringing in other cultures to both learn about Denmark and Pride, but so that other people can learn from them. And that was the programming that our Safe Spaces program was inserted into.
That's so incredible. Can you imagine living in a country like that supported you, right? That you didn't have to worry about where your next healthcare was going to come out from, or your meds, or support for, a trans family member, or, you were not worried about your marriage rights being taken away. I mean, that's incredible.
It is remarkable. And also, everyone's on a bicycle. I think there's one car in the whole country. Everyone's on a bicycle. People actually stop at crosswalks. No one jaywalks. Yes.
Wow.
And right in the middle of Copenhagen, if you've never been, they have the second oldest theme park in the world called Tivoli. And if you think of and I love Disney, by the way, but you go and you've got kids screaming and crying. It's inevitable. You go there. Not a tear. Everyone is quiet like they're in a library, except for that one roller coaster where they scream. Wow. But it's so civilized, so much history. It's just a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Go check it out.
Please do. We're going next year, August. Come.
Watch out.
Oh, and that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Michael Greene, Dr. Tai Houser, and Patrik Gallineaux. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you good night.
Good night.